So maybe when I'm done with working, maybe we can wrap the present.
Oh, I'm actually recording a podcast. Do you want to say hi?
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Priorities.
I like having the topic before I can think about it a little bit.
This is our fourth episode of special, actually fifth. Profitability, prices, planning, people. Today we're going to do priorities.
Priorities.
Sons of CPAs bonus episode where Nikole, Mackenzie, Nix. I wonder if I should just start saying Nix. I always do this during the and the music's just playing, and Scott Scarano share a small but useful piece of practical advice as it relates to running their professional accounting firms. Nikole, this is December 21st, 2021.
Almost the new year.
Almost. This year blew by. I think everybody says that about every year, but this year in particular.
I'm particularly excited about 2022.
Yeah. What are you excited about for 2022?
2022, I just feel like there's going to be a lot of growth in 2022. We've got a new website coming out, a new brand. We're going to start creating content. I'm starting to think about creating digital content, or digital assets rather, not content. Not now, but just getting into one thing at a time, right? But we just got a lot going on in 2022 that I'm excited about. New employees starting. Yeah, priorities.
So how do you, so this is great. Like, how do you plan and prioritize your projected year? Like, how do you prioritize doling that out, right? And also, how do you have the patience for all of this? Oh, I had to just bring another P in. I'm sorry. Doing a rebrand in particular is difficult, and because you just want to get that out there, right?
Yeah, it's already been like 6 months since we started with this company. I think creatives are just they're not very good at staying on a timeline. But anyway, yeah, priorities. I think of it as like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but for your business.
Ooh.
Right. What I was thinking back to when I first started Momentum, the first 2 years, prioritizing was incredibly difficult. I feel like I know you fall into this too. Like, oh, I got to try out this app, or I got to try out this different industry. So the first 2 years is just like
You always feel like the clock is ticking too. Like,
yeah,
I
and you
gotta
know
do
that there's
this.
all these things you need to get done, and you're like, which one do I do first?
What are we racing for too? I always feel like I got to do this before this time because I have to. And I don't even know what like, I feel like I want to be on the other side of that. And so I'm impatient when it comes to, setting these things up.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as you think of it, it's not going to clear your mind until it's done, right? And then just never ends, never ending. So what I do now is we use teamwork, and I just literally anytime I think of anything that I want to do now or later, I just throw it on there.
Mhm.
And then Ashley and I get together, my director of operations, like every Tuesday, and we just go through everything. And then we say, okay, this is now, let's save this for later. And we figure out which is higher priority. But I would say when you
So
first
cool. We do the same thing.
same thing.
I meet with Chris once a week, and we prioritize and we try to go over everything that came up during the week. And we have a shared Google sheet now. We still do, I mean, Carbon for everything, but like kind of tracking things outside of it, like notes and all that. We should use Notion, but I'm trailing off here. So yeah, for us, we just say yes or no or later. Like, stick this to the vision board.
Save it for later. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think in the beginning, when you first start your business, the number one priority is like, I just need clients, right? And then once you get the clients, how do you service the clients? Then you have to hire people.
So you brought up the Maslow's hierarchy, and so there's a book I read called Fix This Next. Mike Michalowicz, he's the Profit First guy, and he basically lays out everything for a business owner to be looking at, and then uses the hierarchy of needs to kind of I forget like the details. It's in my other it's on my other bookshelf in the other room, but it's yeah, I mean it's kind of like setting the base or foundation. And for I kind of want to look this up and use it as a springboard here. Let's see. I'm just going to look up the Maslow's thing, right? So
Yeah, maybe we should go and choose the equivalent business.
yeah. And this would be obviously how to prioritize.
Food and shelter would be like sales. Like you need
sales,
a client.
yeah, the cash, the money coming in.
You need money to come in the door, number one.
So that is obviously the first thing, the lifeblood. Safety and security is the next bar. It's like health, employment, property, family, all that. What do you think that would fall on? I think our people, right?
Yeah. I think that would be delivery of the services. So that it could either in the beginning, it could be just you, or it could be hiring people to deliver the services.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the money coming in, you have to deliver it because you have to keep those clients happy.
Okay. I like it. So that would be more or less like systems and processes, right? Systems, processes.
I think that would be 3 after, right? Because first you just got to get the people in there. You just got to deliver it, and the client doesn't need to know that it's a shit show happening behind the scenes, right? There's no process, no system.
Yeah.
Then you can get the technology and the systems implemented to be more efficient.
Yeah. Okay. So then, like layering in efficiencies and different levels of this hierarchy. So we've got cash, and then people, and then processes, and then I wonder if we can use P words for all of this. we can work our way up.
You know what's funny is I'm 5 years in and I don't even have an employee handbook. So that's on my Q1 list of things to do. Because it hasn't been a priority. We have, kind of loose, I would say, rules.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone's adults. So as I think about scaling and growing and hiring younger people or newer people, I realized that, okay, I need to start getting in more policies and procedures on the employee side, HR side, so that people know what to expect. They're, getting in quarterly reviews, making sure there's job descriptions and roles and expectation. We don't even have that right now. But we're just such a small team that everyone does everything. But as we're growing, we started to run into some challenges with who does what when we pair up people and clients, because our org structure is so flat right now.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking over the next 2 years, the next 3 hires are probably going to be newer, like maybe someone with 3 years or 2 years or someone straight out of college. So now we're starting to build out these workbooks so that someone could come in and say, okay, I have to tie out every single balance sheet account in this workbook. Here's where I find it. So trying to like push down the work as much as possible.
We call it an accountability chart, but it's basically laying out what everybody's role or responsibility is. Some people might be in a couple different boxes, but we really try to separate out. And it's hard for us because well, at least it was very difficult for us to kind of define that because we were so horizontal, especially, like, and I feel your pain on everything. Like before we didn't have a handbook. We definitely, like the first 5 years, we definitely didn't have a handbook. We do now, but it's like not really I don't even remember what's in it. I couldn't tell you. Like, but I do have somebody that kind of knows. So like policies and procedures. So is profitability and really like what happens after this? What's the next thing in the hierarchy of needs?
Well, I think in the beginning, right, like you hire people that already know what they're doing. And then if you actually want to become more profitable and you want to scale, you need to start bringing in less expensive people. And in order to bring less expensive people, you need to have training. You need to have systems that they can follow. You need to start standardizing a lot of your processes. So that would sort of be the next thing, is like, okay, let's get some policies and procedures in so that someone can come in and learn.
What's the priority here? What do we?
the number one priority should always be keeping your clients happy and keeping your team happy.
Yeah.
And I think, there's so many other things that we want to work on in our business when we have the time. But as long as those two things are happening, the business will keep running, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and like the conversation came up today, and it's always about people, right? It's always about, I think it's, I mean, if I'm going to get really existential, it's about ourselves first, then our team, then our clients. You know, people always preach client service this, Ackerman, always client service this, client service that. Like, that's great, but people first. And I think he actually, I'm not going to pick on Ackerman because they treat their people right.
He's
They
not
do
here.
very well. I know. Well, they do very well. And congratulations to him. He had his first child this past week.
Oh,
Our thoughts and prayers are with the baby and the mother.
I didn't
All
even
is
know they were
well.
pregnant.
I know. Yeah. Well, how often do you see his his pregnant wife, right? Like, I see him and his belly's getting bigger, so I think he's the one who was pregnant. He's the one who had a baby. Oh, man, he's not here. I should not do
He
that
can't
shit.
defend himself.
I know I shouldn't do that shit. Oh,
Uh,
God. So, but he's an affable guy. He'd be funner if he was chubbier, actually. I think he would be like a funner, jollier person, right? You should really cut that one out. Oh, man, I suck. Oh, mean person. So,
so
priorities, though.
how do you find time amongst all the priorities you have in your business to do the podcast?
Ah, that I prioritized over everything else this year. And I couldn't even tell you why at this point, but I'm so happy and proud that I did it. I stuck with it too. And I tried to do more. I feel like it feeds into running the firm too. I feel like I run a better firm because of this podcast. So my priorities end up eventually aligning, yeah, ultimately. I may like get distracted and pull off and do different things and then come back in. But like you gave me the tip of things being seasonal. You said this on your episode actually, and Mike Elise said it again in one of our episodes afterwards, and just the busyness being seasonal and diving in and getting busier and doing things. Like right now, I'm paying much more attention to the firm, sales and everything because we're just at a busy time, and I'm not giving as much time to the podcast. So I need help with this. I got my daughter helping me edit, but I still don't want to. I don't want to sacrifice like the consistency and the quality of doing these just because I'm busy at the firm. So I'm trying to balance both
Yeah. And
competing
it's just
priorities.
like anything, you'll do it for yourself for a while until you get it down. And
Yeah.
then you'll be able to delegate some of the editing and all of that. And then
Yeah. But
focus on other
I
things.
think the priority is still doing both. And I'm taking a podcast much more seriously than the next person who's like doing it as a hobby, right? Like Ackerman's like, I want to do this. And we both of us want to change the industry and change the way people think about certain things because there's a broad audience out there that just, if we could reach some people and change some things and help guide through that process, I think that would be cool. I wish I had something like this. So, what
Yeah,
about
no, one priority we didn't go over was, I think, talking to your peers and your
Yeah.
colleagues. I mean, I just think about how helpful it was. In some ways it's good, some ways it's bad, right? Because I think the best thing that happened to me was being on XPAC and meeting you and everyone, because now we have this group chat that anytime one of us has a question, someone can post on there or we get in person and meet. But at the same time, when everyone has different ideas on all these different apps, right? And then you're like, what's this person doing? What's that person doing? You get caught up in, okay, do I need to change my firm because Scott's using Carbon and now should I be on Carbon? And so we get pulled in a lot of different ways when we're around different people, trying out different things and then choosing what's best for our own company.
Well, and I'm contributing to that because we have advertisements now. Like, and where's the priority there? Like, that's important for me to prioritize. Like, okay, now that we do have ads, I definitely got to get this stuff out. That somebody has paid us to present their ads. So I don't want that to be the priority. I don't want that to be the sole purpose of this podcast, because it's not to make money. It's definitely not about that. But that's always a bonus. It's always icing on top
It
of the
helps. It gives you a
It's
little
like the
more.
top part of the in the podcast world, it's the flip of the Maslow's hierarchy, right?
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
feel like that definitely wasn't the case with this. It wasn't to get cash in the door. It was to make sure that we did something good and we built a better foundation on that. And that kind of came at the top of that. That's kind of funny though, in a different way. And it's more fulfilling.
What is at the top? Let's see. Let's pull this up.
And I never
Oh,
really end up getting to it.
self-actualization.
Self-actualization, right? That came
I
up on
think.
a recent episode. Sam, my former employee, said he gets a lot of self-actualization by having a firm on the side.
Yeah.
That's kind of another way of looking at this stuff too. Maybe I'm getting self-actualization from the podcast instead of the firm, because that's what's deep in me. I remember in college, I rebelled against being an accountant. I didn't want to do this. Like I wanted to go do screenplays and write for movies and shit, so, but I never actually ended up doing it because shit, I got kicked out of college. I didn't even finish that stuff, and then ended up going backwards and going back to the accounting because it was safe. Like I don't really care that much about accounting. I was telling Ackerman this. It's safe. It's a secure, safe, stable profession. It
But
wasn't.
you like the running the business part of it, right? And you could go out and do that
Yeah.
with any business. It's just you
Mhm.
happen to choose accounting.
Honestly, I like the entertainment stuff the most. That's what I care about the most of all of this. And that's where my priorities probably lie. Probably.
Well, see, you've come full circle now because you chose accounting, but now you're getting into like production.
Yeah.
Right?
I know. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I don't know if it happened on purpose. I feel like it happened by accident, but it had to be on purpose, right? Like that thing in the back of your head, or the thing that's driving you. What's that? The subconscious. All those things, thing that's driving the back of your head. I'm not sure what I'm not that smart. I didn't go to college. I did go to college. I finished at a different school though. So people get sprinkles of the story. So what about you?
It always comes back to the fundamentals before you want to go out and build an additional service line or do something crazy. Make sure that you've got the fundamentals down first. And I think I see that a lot. We see that a lot with technology companies, right? Where they want to build all these features, but there's just certain core features that they haven't fixed over the last 5 years. And we're like, Zero, why can't you get your freaking cash coding? Can you just fix this one little thing for us? So yeah, I think that just comes back again.
Core product. Go
Core
back to
product,
the
yeah.
core product. Work on your core, right? So for all of you exercise buffs, you probably know, get your core right and everything else becomes a little bit easier. All of it. Meditate, do the fundamentals, eat right, sleep right, move, exercise. Everything else becomes easier. Everything else gets effortless if you got those three down too.
Yeah.
And those should be your priority. Eating, sleeping, and moving.
Yeah, I think we missed that's probably the number one, taking care of yourself, then taking care of your
Well,
business.
I did say that. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. I said when we go back, I said existentially, make sure you're looking out for yourself first. Nobody likes to admit that, but you better be damn sure you're looking out. It's like put your mask on first before anybody else. On the plane, didn't they say that?
Yeah. Put your mask on
And
first because you can't help anybody if you don't help yourself first.
yeah. Then your team, then your clients. Self-care. What's your priority for 2022 of all of those things you said you were going to do, right? So the marketing and the rebranding was how this came up. So now we're coming full circle on this episode.
The launch for a website is a big priority. I'm super excited about our new brand. It's freaking awesome. Like
it is.
The branding team absolutely nailed it. I'm so stoked because I feel like it's
That's your
everything that
self-actualization
it's like
yeah.
the best athletes, two things that they do really well. The fundamentals, they show up every day and they know the fundamentals. And then the second thing is confidence. And I feel like we have the fundamentals down, but we just like I'm not confident in our like brand and our website because I feel like it hasn't shown who like what we actually do and the value we provide for our clients.
I
So
love the athlete
I'm
analogy. This is
super
great.
stoked to have. Now I feel like like I had a extreme makeover where I feel very confident. I'm going to feel very confident in that, where I'm actually going to start.
So you've worked on yourself, right? You've got the beach body, and now you
Yes.
got to get the swimsuit.
So that's our that's my priorities wrapped up in a bow.
I love the analogy. We're gonna end with that. This is where I'll start playing the music, right? You know, there's a coach who makes sure that the team ties their shoes. That's the first thing
What?
that he teaches all of them. Is
Fundamentals.
tying their shoes the right way. One of the basketball coaches, they probably spend a whole day on doing that. You know, fundamentals, and that's what it matters in business, is the fundamentals, the backbone, like the foundation. Because when all else fails, at least you can fall back on that. You know. Bye, everybody.
Bye.